What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It is November 3rd of 2022. We had a ton of mind-boggling price action after the Fed meeting yesterday. Let's dive into it. The S&P 500 finished down 1.03%. Our NASDAQ QQQ finished down 1.95%. And that was by far the biggest loser for the session. The Megacap tech companies, they are under attack. We'll dive into that further in a moment. Small caps down 0.2%. Our Dow Jones down 0.46%. The ARK Innovation ETF also down 0.2%. And the TLT Bond ETF was down 0.54%. Most of these indices closed somewhere around the middle end of their day's range. But you'll notice that the NASDAQ closed at the bottom end of the day's range. There was no reprieve for those mega cap tech stocks. Volatility finished down for all of these indices, so that is a positive divergence. We had 38% advancers in the small caps. We had 45.8% of volume. And the trend model did flip from a +1 to a -1 reading. In terms of post-market movers, oh my gosh, we had a ton of companies report earnings after the bell. And the pattern that I noticed is almost every single company is whiffing on their earnings report and or lowering guidance. Some of them, it's like, all right, we beat for this quarter, but we're going to move our guidance range a little bit lower. What I notice is even if they're moving it just a tad lower, the stocks are getting crushed. So we can see Team got smoked in the after hours. APLS, Twilio, which I thought had a decent earnings report, just got smoked. Cloudflare, this was a darling in the 2020 run-up, down 12.47%. But we did have some earnings winners. We had DoorDash up 11.86%. Square up 11.27%. That stock had been left for dead. And we had Exact Sciences, which was up 6.67%. So definitely a mixed bag. But we are noticing that these companies that aren't delivering, they're just getting the smoke. It seems like this environment's all about the valuations now. And if a company doesn't deliver fully for this quarter, it's like, well, what's the PE ratio? Oh, it's a 25. That's way too high. Like, it'll just get absolutely smoked. Anyway, ever since Fed Wednesday, these probabilities, we've been watching these pretty closely. For the December Fed meeting, as of right now, it's pretty neck and neck as to whether or not we're going to get a 50 basis point rate hike or a 75 basis point rate hike. Right now, there's a 52.8% chance that we get that 75 bips. VIX futures term structure no longer inverted, but we can see this November future is starting to rise in relation to the December future. Remember, we do have that non-farm payrolls data. It is coming out tomorrow. Finviz heat map. So this was 2 sessions ago. We saw this mega cap tech sell-off started. Then yesterday, boom! It's like one of those how it started and how it's going now memes. Now today, most of the other areas of the market, I guess you can say stabilized. We looked a little bit better, but you can see mega cap tech just a 3-day bender where these names all just got smoked. We had Nvidia did finish positive. We had Tesla did also finish positive, and then these energy stocks remained green. On our sector map, remember, these are ranked in terms of momentum. The MSOS Cannabis ETF is now in our top momentum slot, finished out up 3.9%. KWeb was also a little bit stronger, up 3.39%. And the Solar Group was up 3.7%. But other than that, you can see we did get a sell-off in many other areas of the market. The hardest hit, we had Telecom down 2.83%. Our XLK, which is mega cap tech, was down 2.94%. And then our iPay, which is the mobile payments ETF, was down 4.06%. So we were just seeing like major blow-ups in various groups of the market. There'll be violent rallies, blow-ups if there's a bad data point. So it's still a very treacherous environment. I know there's a lot of traders and investors out there that are getting fatigued. And I gotta say, just stick with it. You know, we are in the heart of this bear market. And this is definitely a challenging environment. I think everyone's experiencing it in a different way. But keep in mind, we have our CPI data that's going to be coming out next Thursday. And that could turn the tide for all we know. Style factors. What do we got here? Our hardest hit style factor was the growth style factor, down 1.64%, followed by high beta, down 1.01%. What do we do in terms of options trades? We were stalking this company, Arista Networks, which actually did deliver on earnings and reported good numbers. I got long the January 20th 130 strike calls for $7.80 there. That one is looking good. Other than that, no trades for me today. I was really just watching and waiting for the fallout. Let's take a look. The dollar index did end up advancing. The dollar index finished close to the highs, up 1.46%. And this is after the Fed yesterday basically said, we are waiting for inflation to come down. We're not done yet. And we are just trying to keep that front up. The dollar index, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-day bender. So this has also been a market of streaks where we'll have like 6 up days in the dollar index, then 6 down days. The market's up 7 days in a row, then down 12. It's really just been like an up and down tape. And you can see that we did have a couple weeks here where things were looking better. And now 1, 2, 3, 4 red candles in a row for the S&P 500. Today we did close below that 20-day simple moving average. That was not what we wanted to see. Keep in mind we got the NFP data though, so it's very tough. If the NFP data comes out light, because remember this is a good news is bad news and vice versa economy, that's where we could end up seeing the market do a little bit better. Other than that, if the inflation data next week still comes out hot, that is just bad news for the market. But we are seeing on our Trueflation dashboard, as well as just anecdotal evidence, seeing various economic indicators come out, it does appear that the inflation is starting to come down a little bit. This Trueflation, which we monitor all the time, this is at its lowest level year to date, and you can see that it has declined from about a 12% reading back in March. Now we're at 7.5%. So that is on a rate of change basis getting a little bit better. Now let's take a look. These indices, this is the other strange thing. They're all doing something different. The S&P 500 has retraced about half of the gains from the low, maybe a little bit more than that. But our NASDAQ, talk about a shooting of the generals. The NASDAQ is on the verge of retesting the low we made in mid-October. So yeah, in terms of this bear market, to me, it seems like we're nearing the end of it, where it's just like the generals are getting shot. Meta's trading at 2 times price to sales. I definitely think while Meta's having its issues, things are getting a little bit extreme here. This stock, it's not like the business is just going to go away. So I definitely think players are just kind of panicking at this point. If something doesn't deliver, it's just, all right, got to panic out of this asset, that asset, got to go to cash. I think everyone's starting to get the tap on the shoulder. But then if you look at other areas like the Russell 2000, this one is doing a little bit better. We're still above the monthly value rate, and we're still above the 20-day simple moving average. And then if we go over to the Dow Jones, the Dow Jones, not too shabby. We had this parabolic run. This definitely was not sustainable. We have had a pullback, but we're only pulling back to the 10-day EMA. So it's definitely a tape where there's a lot of dispersion under the hood, different assets doing different things. Let's take a look at the ARK Innovation ETF. This one did put in a green candle, finished above this monthly point of control, but we still had a pretty rough day. It's been a rough 2 or 3 days. So I think as of right now, it's going to come down to NFP, and then we have inflation next week. Other than that, this market has remained treacherous for companies that are not delivering. They are really getting hammered. We're going to have to see what the river brings. We got more earnings coming down the pipe tomorrow. With that being said, that about does it for today's market recap video. Hope you'll enjoy the rest of your evening.